my kids. I would always pick up my kids. When I got home, sometimes I was tired. They have a bottle in one hand and they just lifted up the other hand and they knew what daddy was supposed to do. My job was to pick them up. This is a spiritual interaction. When you pick up a child, it is a spiritual transaction. When you pick up a child, you change their perspective. When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done, there is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict, I don't care, pick her up. My son messes up, I don't care, pick him up. I don't care. You pick them up. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective. My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up.
It's Hawkey! And this is Breeders Therapy, where we fighting the PTSD of parenting, because this motherfucking hard. We love the kids, but sometimes you gotta say, fuck them kids. Shit, it's your boy Hog, single dad, 36. I got 6 motherfucking boys, 5 baby mamas. PTSD all over me, goddamn it. One of the boys ain't mine. I didn't birth him, but I raised him since he was in diapers. Um, got 2 boys and 1 girl living in my house right now. Like the girl, that's new, that's got her own story. 'Cause like I said, I got 6 boys. I didn't even want no girls. Every time baby mama got pregnant, I told everybody, "Oh, I'm having another son." They're like, "Oh, you gonna have a girl? You have a girl?" Hog don't make girls. I'm having all boys. I told everybody that. Uh, it ain't no manual to this. It's parenting. Every single child is different. Even the different children in your own home. Like the way you raise one child, don't mean the same thing's gonna apply or be just as effective with the next child. So like, I know with a lot of parents, especially me, personally me, like we beat ourselves up over the decisions we're making, trying to wonder if we're doing the right things. But who can say we aren't? Because I know some people who had gangster ass parents and became like really genuine people like for the streets. Like I ain't saying people who gangster are not genuine. I'm just saying he was against like the things that they were with. Like so, it's not to say like what you do determines everything that your child is going to become. Um, it has a lot to do with all the factors, their experiences, their influences, their time in life. Because you got to think, when we grew up, like I'm from the era before cell phones and social media, so we had to interact. I remember I was just talking to somebody how remember we used to have to go and knock on our friend's door and ask if they can come out or call their phone and say hello. And because of that, it taught us manners. It taught us how to approach people, adults, how to speak to people in situations. So like think about the times we're in now trying to raise our kids. And we do so much prejudging. Like we constantly telling ourselves like because of, and it's mainly because of what we've done or what we weren't able to accomplish for whatever reason. We're gonna make sure our children do it. But that who's to say that's their path? Period. You know what I mean? We're all put here for a reason. Now, when you start telling your child that because I was this, you should be this. Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It kind of gives them that stigma of like they're beating themselves up already. Like, oh, um, like telling them what they should or could be is stifling them of who they are potentially supposed to be, or just leaving that option open for them to find out who it is, because that makes that stick a little harder. When you forcing them to kind of come to your conclusion, that's not gonna stick. Now, if you get it right, it may, but like you have to, we, sorry, we have to start allowing the kids to find their way. Um, Stop overprotecting them. People say all the time, like, I'm gonna give my kid everything that I did not. Here, I don't want them to go through anything that I had to go through. I don't think that's helpful. Like because of most of the experiences, you became the person that you are now. Like it's not to say like it's not to say that some of them experiences you don't want them to go through. You don't want them to have to deal with the things that causes trauma to them. No, you want them to avoid them. But like parents jumping in fights with their kids, motherfucker blowing down on teachers and stuff. I remember back in the day, if the your teacher or principal called home, mom dudes wouldn't just get to cussing the teacher out. She would ask you, "What did you do? What the hell did you do?" They ain't calling all the other parents here. So like, you know what I'm saying? We kind of took that responsibility away from the child for being accountable for the things that they do, and put it on the people around them to say like they should have, I guess, stopped them from doing what they wanted to do. You know what I mean? And because we got this big protective security shield over all type of pain and hardship, man, it's making this generation soft, soft as hell. This generation coming up don't know what it's like to actually fight. Like some of these motherfuckers live in the hood but don't even know what it's like to take the bus. Now, what if they have to take the bus? Like, who is to say like at all times you're going to be provided with the ability of a ride? Sometimes it don't come like that. Sometimes it just don't go like that. Sometimes you have to use your God-given legs if you can. Shit, I done had to walk in rain miles. You know what I mean? So when the kids be like, "Oh, you think you take me to school or can you take me to work?" and then only like a couple blocks down the street, it's like, wait a minute, no, you can walk. You can get on that metro. That motherfucker's gas is always going. You know what I mean? Got these niggas out here just shooting first. Like I remember back in the day, we learned how to take L's. It was about respect. It wasn't about the popularity of like being this or that. Because losing a fight don't make you a loser. Look at all the boxers that we praised. Even Muhammad, the great Muhammad Ali. Now, Floyd Mayweather, like it's neither here nor there for me. Like I like the man. I respect his career. I just don't think he did it as fiercely as some of the other greats. So I don't put him in that category, regardless if he didn't take no losses. You know what I mean? You can strategically make sure, like you know how them people is, like they pick the people that they know they can beat. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, they think that they pick those people, and I think that's kind of how Floyd is. He strategically picked people that he could outbox, not that would give him an actual match. You know what I mean? So, but even when you look at all the professional boxers, they took L's. They took L's. Like, it's nobody out here that can just defeat everybody. You know what I mean? And you getting out there and taking them L's or giving them L's, it teaches you where you stand and humbleness. When you like guns, like I understand the point of it, but the thing about guns is so easy to defeat most obstacles. That's the first thing that most people go to. Like soon as confrontation comes, I shoot your ass, nigga. Oh, I popped the trunk on you. Know I ain't never lacking. I mean, that's understandable. You're not supposed to be lacking for oppressor. People literally trying to do you harm. You know what I mean? Like people coming against your family or your community. Not just so you can be walk around here with your chest out. That's not what the gun's supposed to be for. You know what I mean? But there is no ultimately dominant person over everybody. Even the world's strongest man has weaknesses. You know what I mean? So, but that I'm saying all of that to say like we got out of the place of saying that a loss is okay because I believe that the biggest lessons come from the losses, the failures. I don't like to say failures because failure to me means you didn't do it and you gave up. That's when the failure is. I mean, so, but the effort, the times you try to make these things happen. Um, so, I mean, we don't want to teach them to just get out here and just be fighting, but we got to teach them different ways to fight. There's different strengths. There's different ways to be powerful without even being physical. Like sometimes the strongest person walks away. Sometimes the most intelligent and biggest person says when they're wrong and goes about their business. See, it gets further and further in date embedded in men to not be emotional, to hide this because if you show it that it shows weakness and they're gonna take advantage of that. And in the most part, that's what we see. So like as parents, we need to start teaching our children how to express themselves. You know, all that bottling up and then finally letting it boil it over and yelling and screaming, getting in all these battles. Like you got boyfriends and girlfriends killing each other in arguments. And not even terrible arguments. Just they want to learn how to express themselves and to when to say, like, okay, this is not that big. We can come back to this later. Or this is not going to break us, so I shouldn't let us tear us apart. You know what I mean? Because when you constantly make these, it was a quote I heard, and the guy was talking about, I can't remember the guy, I apologize for that, but he was talking about how his grandfather was talking to him about how he walked to work every day, you know what I'm saying, to provide for his family. His son, who was actually talking, said he drives a Cadillac. His grandfather said, well, your son will probably be in a Ferrari, but his son will probably be walking again. And he said, the son didn't really understand that. And he said, hard times make strong men. Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. So we need to stop trying to just always just outdo the generation before us, but figure out how we can improve instilling the proper lessons. You know what I mean? By allowing them like tough love. Like tough love is probably the biggest medicine you can give a child because it allows them to use their mind to come up with ways that they can deal with situations. When you constantly take care of everything for your kids, don't allow them to use any of their critical thinking. To me, I feel like it's kind of selfish because you telling yourself like I'm keeping my kids protected, so we don't have to deal with anything. I don't want them to have to any pain or go through anything, and we'll always be together. But then if something happens to you, how do you know that they know what they need to know? Because that's my thing is about I ain't saying kick kids out, but give them the motivation to want to get out into the world. Always let them know that home, like our parents' home, you can always come back to, but you can't stay here and live your life. You have to get out there and live your life. In here is my life. I raised you. Now it's time for you to get out there and get your life. I'm always here to save you there. You know what I mean? Now, uh, I talked earlier a little bit, not a lot, but said I had a girl that lived with me. And it's one of my son's um, sister. Their mom has not been involved. She was with her grandma for the most part, but things got hectic, got a little crazy, and she came to live with me. No problem. We'll get this shit worked out. And that is very crazy. I mean, she hadn't given me any smoke. It's just that trying to guide her and give her freedom has been kind of the hardest thing because I don't want her to feel like she's imprisoned. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of how her grandma made her feel like she couldn't do anything. She couldn't express herself. She was 16 before she ever went to any dances or dates or anything, sleepovers, nothing. So I wanted to give her freedom as she came to me at 17. And man, it just seemed like I was battling with just her kind of understanding like this is my household. I run it a certain way. You can't just go in and out as a kid, shit, even as an adult. Like at my mom's house, you couldn't just come in the house 2, 3 in the morning, even if you was grown. You want to come in like that? Go get a place, pay your own goddamn bill. So like, but no, like if you're gonna be coming home from school late, hit me a text, call me. I pay that phone bill for a damn reason. Don't just come in here late, 5 hours late, and just be like, hey, like it's all good. No, I'm going. I ain't never gonna let it slide. You know what I mean? So that's been the biggest battle. And then I feel like I failed because she pregnant now. Like it's like and I do beat myself up. But what was I supposed to do? I couldn't have trapped her here. Couldn't have said like, no, you can't do nothing. You know, you're 17, but I need to make sure you just make it to out of high school without being pregnant. Like, no, that's stifling for a child. Like, so I'm torn for real. I mean, I want some of y'all to kind of talk to me about this. Some of y'all going through this uh, maybe scared of going through this or already been through this. But man, we all can get together. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything. Let's talk about making our community better, like legit, like our whole community better, like by being the guidance that they really need. Like so many people have become selfish now. And I think a lot of it is COVID because I mean, especially today, because COVID it secluded everybody with themselves, which means like you couldn't even use your avenues that you used to have to kind of maneuver through the hard times. And so now you kind of like more people are like, I gotta preserve what I have because I don't know how this world is really gonna keep. You know what I'm saying? How the function of this world gonna be from this point on. I mean, even now we still hear whispers about COVID variations and this different sickness. So it's like people are not trying to be selfish, but they're trying to protect themselves so much that we're getting farther away from helping the community. And for the people out there that's doing what they can, shout out, shoot me out so I can help y'all, or help me help my community too. So we can all work together. We can all get this done. And we're gonna talk about a lot, man, because parenting it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to enthrall. It's a lot that we don't know. Our parents only did the best that they can do, and that's only with the knowledge they had. You know, back then they didn't even have a lot of the knowledge that we have today. They didn't have the ability to get with the people with the knowledge and spread the knowledge like we do today. That's why I want to bring everybody together so we can talk and come up with solutions, or not even solutions, come up with avenues that people can at least try to improve themselves, their kids, cause it starts. That's who gonna take over the world, our children. Like, and when we say like, oh, kids crazy nowadays, just like the grandparents, kids crazy nowadays, this and that, like, well, your generation raised our generation. You know what I mean? So if you want to sit here and look at us and say how fucked up we is, look at your generation in all the aspects and how they allow movies and stuff to change and shit like that. So we got to just look at all the aspects, all the avenues of what being a parent is, or what being a parent experience is. Because there is no, this is what a good parent, or this is a bad parent. Because some kids you gotta whoop, some kids you just gotta punish. It's like that. Like just like as an adult, some people you just can get a fear of something bad happening, like going to jail, getting pulled over, something like that. Some people literally have to do the time before they learn. You know what I mean? So let's talk, people. And this is Hoggy. Thank you for tuning in to Alone, the podcast network.